setbacks.anxietycenter.com.
Brianna, I wanted to chat with you before you go to work.
Thank you.
Nice to chat with you, by the way.
Yeah, nice to chat with you. I'm so glad that your surgery went through, and I was praying for you, and all of our prayers works, you see. So
yes, thank you very much.
And I'm sorry to hear about your wife. I hope everything works out with her. I'll pray for her as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. I just had a few quick things, and I will be quick. So I'll start with my 2 questions. Okay, I want to start an exercise program, but I'm still not like super hyperstimulated, but I still have lingering symptoms and everything. And I notice when I don't get enough sleep, my symptoms some stuff comes back, like trembling or whatever, which I don't really care, but they come back. And anyway, I thought I want to start this exercise program because I really want to get healthy and lose weight. And I mean, this is like something I really want to do. I thought I wanted to ask you, would that be wise to do? It's not a hardcore thing, I don't think, but it is a lot of movement for like 30 minutes straight, if that makes sense. But I don't think there's any weights or anything like that, but it's kind of like cardio a lot and things like that. And so I wanted to know, would that even be wise? Or maybe should I just not do that? I mean, but I really want to lose weight. I mean, it's really important to me to get feeling better physically, not just hyperstimulation wise, because all last year I worked on just trying to get my stimulation down and get rid of all these ridiculous fears I had and all these other symptoms, and I did pretty good. But I don't want to maybe have set myself backward if I start this program. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Exercise is an odd thing because it will affect each person differently too. If you're if it's like an aerobic thing and you're sweating and it's, for 30 minutes straight, it is going to stress the body because that's what it does. Okay. Maybe there's a way that you could, dial it back yourself a little bit instead of pushing really, really hard. Start slow. The recommendation that I would give is, start with really mild exercise first. If you haven't, start there and then work your way up to something more rigorous because, being fit is important. Absolutely. And also feeling like you're getting back into life is important. It can make a good, important mind shift. So you might want to try your program and just see how your body responds. And typically people will feel good after the exercise. It's usually 2-3 days later when you notice your symptoms peak up a little bit. But if you're okay with that, and if it's not slowing down your other recovery work, then nothing wrong. I'll give an example. One of the clients I worked with years ago struggled big time anxiety, used to be, a professional bodybuilder. So during the conversation, he had to completely stop because he realized that, his workout routines was really keeping his body stressed. But as he worked on his underlying factors and worked at getting his stress down, hyperstimulation dropped quite a bit. He got to the place where he was just at mild hyperstimulation and wanted to get back into, to weight training again. And so we had a conversation similar to what you and I are having right now. So he started back slow and started building up. He said he had some symptoms starting to come back, but he wasn't concerned about them because he was still doing his regular deep relaxation and everything else. He just tolerated them for a while. And as he continued to make recovery, his body adjusted and he was fine. And we returned right to competitive weight training and with no issues. So it took a little bit of a period for his body to adjust, but he was okay with that. So this is where you have to judge yourself. Am I going too far? How's my body responding? Can I tolerate this for a while until my conditioning improves? All those things you'll have to, gauge for yourself. It's not going to send your recovery backward overall because recovery is more than just getting hyperstimulation down. It's all the, the fear changes and all the containing things that you've done. So that's a large part of recovery. So it's just really now of managing your body's stress and you'll have to monitor that.
Yeah, that's where I feel like I'm at is all I have left is just like waiting on my body to catch up with my mind, because I've got my mind under control. Like, good
for you. Yeah.
So I'm really proud of myself for that. And thank you for that.
Yeah, good job.
You're who helped me through all that. If I hadn't have found Anxiety Center, I would not have. I probably would have been in a straitjacket somewhere.
Hey, Brianna, how long did it take you to get through your anxiety? You think that all those tremors and all that stuff like you said you were having?
Oh man. Well, March 19th of this year will be the 1 year mark of when it all started for me. Um, I want to say probably I haven't had tremoring within like the last few months, except for last week. I had a setback for some reason, which I'm going to get to. And so tremoring was kind of one of those things that came back, but it comes and goes. It really doesn't, I don't care about it. It doesn't scare me. Like, I used to be afraid of it. I used to be afraid of every little thing my body did, but I don't even care anymore. It is what it is because Jim's right about everything he's saying. I mean, it does go away. Everybody on here that's had stuff go away, they're all right. It does go away. So it took me a long time to get there. I will say that it took me a long time to get my mind to catch up with the thoughts I wanted it to believe. But I just noticed the more I told myself this too shall pass. I mean, the more my mind started to believe it, and then I started to see results, and then I really could believe it because it was true.
I just wanted to say, Brianna, that you're ahead of the curve. If you've been only dealing with this for 1 year, you're ahead of the curve.
Really? I feel like I'm behind.
No, you're ahead of the curve. I think last time we had that same conversation, it's probably because you're a hard worker, but it usually takes longer to reverse hyperstimulation than what you've experienced. So good job.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Before all this stuff, I was really tough, redheaded, Irish in my blood cookie, okay? Like nobody could tell me anything and I could take on the world, it felt like at one point. And then anxiety really humbled me. And, honestly, I'm not happy that I went through it, but I am because I have a lot more compassion for people who are going through medical things or going through anxiety than I did before. Because I just thought it was ridiculous. People would, say, oh, I'm having anxiety. And I'm like, well, what is that? Like, suck it up, but now I know what that is. And I'm ashamed of myself for ever being like that. But the reality is people who are anxiety sufferers are incredibly tough. And I think what I did over the last year, you guys, is I just had to figure out where I could gain that power back, that power I used to have, that strength, and you do gain it back over time. You just kind of got to remind yourself you are tough and you've got this. And, you start to believe it over time. And I do think that I still got a little ways to go, but I feel like I've recovered quite a bit. And I am really proud of myself for that. And you guys will too. You will too. And I remember when I first started this, I was looking for everybody to tell me, like, anytime I would listen to your Skype calls, Jim, I was looking for someone to say how long it took them to recover from something that I had so that I could say, okay, well, I only have this much longer to go. Well, I was really disappointed when I reached, someone said it took them 4 months or something, which was relatively quick. And I remember feeling really disappointed in myself for not getting over it the way they did. But the first disappointment was the first time I finally just accepted, like, okay, well, maybe I'm not gonna recover from that as fast as someone else, but I did recover from this, so I just kind of accepted everything that I'm going through for what it is. And I kind of gained some of my strength back. And I'm also starting to get back to my religion, and it's like, I had depersonalization really bad. I was detached from reality. I was detached from my body. My mind and body were not connected. And if anybody's gone through that, they know how scary that is. And so,
definitely.
I'm so glad that part's over because I hated depersonalization.
Yeah, not a fun experience, is it?
No, but because I kind of came out of that part of it, I'm able to, first for a long time, for months on end, I was able to kind of get back to feeling attached to myself, like feeling like a person again. And now I'm at this point where I'm ready to like get close to God again. I mean, I was always praying to him, but I didn't feel anything. I also had anhedonia, so I couldn't feel anything pleasurable. And so, but that went away. So now I can be happy. I get excited. I can enjoy things again. I can laugh again. I find things funny again. Jim, last time or a few times ago when I talked to you, I was watching a movie and I was crying at a part that was supposed to make me laugh. That worked itself out, so now my my emotions are back in check.
Oh, good, yes.
So I'm like, what is happening to me? But yeah, a lot of it was just me accepting it is what it is. But yeah, I just wanted to know what you thought about exercise. So yeah, I'll just pause on the exercise program itself. It'd save me some money, and I can. It's about to be spring, so I can just start walking. Maybe just try that instead.
Yeah, start light and work up. That's the best thing. One of the mistakes I see a lot of people make is they want to jump ahead too fast, and the body's not ready. So if you start small and take small steps, you will get there. It just takes a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second question I had was, so I went to the doctor because I've always had nose problems and everything, and I can't breathe out of my nose. Which is why I'm a scarf eater. Like I scarf my food down really fast because I was always told that you need to chew with your mouth closed. Don't open your mouth. Well, then I'm like basically gasping for air so I'm eating really fast so that I could swallow my food and then take a breath of air. And then I'd always end up with stomach aches. And I think that has a lot to do with my weight too. I'm not able to slow down the process of eating, and I've gained a lot of weight. Anyway, I'm supposed to have my nose worked on. And I have a deviated septum, which is why I can't breathe.
Right. And
I'm supposed to have surgery. Now, I will tell you, I am afraid. I've never had a surgery before. I'm still stimulated, and I'm really worried about and plus I'm a redhead, and I know there's a lot to do with redheads need twice of everything because they can feel things. They need twice the Novocaine. I don't know about anesthesia twice, but maybe laughing gas on top of that. I'm just worried that I'm worried about two things. I'm worried that I'm going to feel everything and not be able to say anything. And I'm also worried about it setting me back with my recovery, not necessarily like mentally, but physically, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. With the surgery, I'd recommend talking with the anesthesiologist about your concerns.
Okay.
Make them aware, and also about the redhead. My wife is similar. She's not as sensitive to it as I am, so she's always had to talk with the person delivering it, which has worked out good. Make them aware. The chances of being awake, extremely remote. I know sometimes you see articles on the news or someone on a chat or something or other. Extremely rare. Highly unlikely it's going to happen to you. So you can put those things to rest. In terms of setting your recovery back, well, if you're not concerned about your symptoms, so what if because your body's going to be stressed. When it goes through operation, it's going to be stressed. So recognize that when you come out, your body's going to be somewhat more stimulated, and it's going to take time to settle. But do the things you did in the first time. Just contain yourself and give your body time and recognize it's going to be what it is, and you should be fine. I mean, when I came out of my surgery, I had symptoms I hadn't had in years. Couldn't sleep for 4 weeks, so that didn't help either. But, for me, it was like, well, so what? This is just what it is. And it took about a couple of weeks after that, and they were all gone. So,
yeah.
I want that superpower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you, I'm curious, Jim, did you, within those 4 weeks, did you have any mind, symptoms come back? Unnecessary thoughts, intrusive thoughts, or fears or anything that just pop up?
I did. Yeah.
You did.
And I kind of chuckle at a few of them. It's like, I haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's just because I knew what it was. Surgery's going to stress the body. That's just how it is. And anesthesia has an effect on the body too. So there's going to be some after effects of that. But because I recognized what it was, it's like, so whatever. It was kind of funny actually, and just moved on. Didn't even entertain them. Now, because I think my recovery is so solid, I don't even give these a second thought. And that's where I'd like to see everybody get to, where it's just, whatever, I know what to do, and no big deal. But you can get there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess my only concern was that because I'm still stimulated, I'm not through it like you are before you had your surgery. I mean, you've been through it for, 25 years or something like that? So, yeah, I was like, I don't know, is this a good idea? But I want to get your intake on it. But I really would love to breathe. It'd be nice to breathe.
I'll just go through it. I mean, you've done such a great job of recovering from where you were. This little, blip on the other side of this is not going to be nothing. You'll probably just breeze through this because the body recovers pretty quick if not refueling it with fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the third thing was, so I had a setback randomly. Like, when I have these setbacks, I get the mind stuff. I get the intrusive thoughts. I get the kind of despair kind of feelings or low mood. And I did not, however, have any of the suicidal thoughts that and these aren't things that like I chose to think, my suicidal thoughts just kind of just came. And I'm like, well, what was that? So, but I didn't have the suicidal thoughts, but I did have the feelings of like, oh, I just want to die. What's the point of life? I had those thoughts like, what's the point of life? They lasted for about a week. I mean, all the symptoms, and then they kind of died down. I don't really know what caused my setback though. And I'm just, I guess the question I have for you is, can setbacks come without a cause? Because I was doing fine. I mean, I wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary.
As long as the body's even slightly hyperstimulated, it can misbehave. And it can misbehave whichever way it does and for however long. Typically, those kind of involuntary setbacks are temporary. You might have it for a day or two or sometimes a week at the most. But if the setback is longer than that, it's usually caused by a silent stressor we aren't aware of. This is why I'm a big, again, proponent of keeping a stress journal. Because a lot of times we forget the stresses we're under, even like a day later. So if you keep a stress journal and keep mental notes of what's going on in your life, you can usually trace it back to a stressor somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking to myself too, like, did I do something wrong? Like, I don't, I mean, I was working a lot and I did have some car issues. Would that be enough to make me go back for 5 days? Like, what is going on? But
yeah, depends on the level of stress. I mean, for example, when the body's hyperstimulated, even, innocuous stressors like having to deal with a problematic vehicle or, working 2 or 3 hours per day longer than normal can cause the body to be a little bit more upset than normal.
That makes sense because I have been remember I told you I switched from working week to like Monday through Friday now.
Yeah.
So I'm always now with my kids when I'm off work. So like I really don't get a break at all, even on my weekends off.
Sure.
So I'm like, maybe I am just like, and then now that I switched to Monday through Friday, I'm working like a couple hours each day over the time I usually work. So
yeah.
That
and
could
because
be.
because your body isn't fully back to normal health, it's going to be more sensitive to extra stressors, and then it can misbehave by sending episodes of erratic behavior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wonder, the more setbacks you have, like, they're obviously a lot more spaced out than they used to be, but they eventually go away in time. Like, you don't really get setbacks anymore, right? Or is that like something I should just expect, even if they're like a year apart? I mean, but
Yeah, if once your body's back to normal health, it fits back into that normal resiliency range again. It can take a lot of stress, and we might get a few symptoms here or there, but they resolve pretty quick. But until we get back to that normal level of stress, it can be sensitive. And so, for example, even if let's say you're at 10% hyperstimulation or something or other, and you have a stressful week, well, you could see a little bit of a rebound of symptoms, but they'll be quickly resolved because you don't care too much about them and you know what to do to reverse them. So, and once you get back to normal health, it'll just be normal stress management. And if you're working in level 2 recovery stuff, your stress will be way easier to manage because you won't be creating as much.
Well, is there ever going to be a point where I don't see symptoms due to stress, because I never had stuff before all this anxiety stuff happened. So I'm wondering, will my body get back to that pre-anxiety phase, or is this kind of something that like now I've experienced it, I'll always kind of notice it type of thing?
Well, I think if you've done level 2 recovery work, your body's going to be way more resilient because it's not going to be experiencing as much stress. So you should be able to live a normal life without symptoms. Now, we have to recognize too that there's going to be stressors in life. We just have them. Things come up and we have to deal with things. And so it's expected with that extra stress for the body to respond with some stress symptoms. But again, they're usually temporary and we can usually turn them around pretty quick.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jim, for everything. And, I did want to say, I kind of wrote him already to tell him that, John, I love your accent. I just wanted to tell you that before I left. I wondered,
Yes.
I asked him if he was Irish or Scottish or anything, because
Yeah. No, I'm Irish. And when you said you've Irish blood, I was like, oh, is she Irish as well? But yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have a cool accent like you. You're just cooler than I am, I guess. But
Yeah. You're not real.
I love Irish accents. They're so. I just love it. Anyway, I wanted to compliment you before I left. So.
Well, thanks, Brianna.
Thank you, Jim.
Good job in your hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And keep us updated. If you have your surgery, keep us updated. We'll pray for you too.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.